Steve. It's good to see you this morning or on record, as the case may be. It's kind of a fun one today. We've done this a couple of times, as you'll see why. They're constantly adding new features and advancements to Teams. And I think I'll take a second here. I don't specifically have a slide or content for it, just to remind everybody that the end of life for old Teams is on the horizon, right? We're about a month away when it comes to the rumored sunsetting of old Teams. I've been in on a couple of discussions and a couple of meetings with Microsoft about what that looks like, and the different tools you have for sort of corralling people and getting them over to new Teams. I know they're also working really hard to ensure that goes well. And so just a quick reminder for everybody that is kind of on the horizon and about to hit. So with that, let's spend a little time together. Got some slides put together, mostly from my friends over at Microsoft, around some new features and some new capabilities right within Teams. Obviously, being Apex, we focus on things like calling and meeting rooms and hybrid and sort of the best meeting experiences people can have. Do a lot of work with phone and voice and voicemail and those kinds of things. And so I really kind of focused in those areas. There's a huge feature set when it comes to Teams. And so thinking about spending 20 or 25 minutes with you on this event as we do, I wanted to really focus it down on the things that are near and dear to my heart, and the kinds of things that we spend a lot of time working with customers around bringing to their environment. So at a high level, this is sort of the latest iteration of what's new. I included this slide in the deck because I removed a few detail slides just in the interest of time and of focus and duplicity. And so I left this slide in. If you want the slides after the fact, as always, just reach out to me, sthompson@apexdigital.com. I'll get you this whole slide deck, including a really, really large appendix of the history of this deck and a lot of past months updates and what's new. So let's start out with calling, and let's take a look at a couple of new features in calling. This one was fun for me because I didn't know this was a thing, protected voicemail. And so what you can do, just before we talk about this feature, is you can turn on protected voicemail within your tenant and for people, which makes the voicemail recording the actual file rights protected. I kind of love this idea because the same way I don't necessarily want someone sending my candor or my confidential information that I type in, I don't want that with voicemail as well. I know many of us probably don't leave voicemails anymore, but if we still do, now we can extend that ability into the voicemail space. And so the feature add here is just that those things are available in the mobile Teams app, right? That the mobile apps now sort of support and respect those encrypted files. And so if you are using this for your users, not only in the native client, but in the mobile apps, they'll be able to access those rights protected voicemails. Another piece in calling we talk to a lot of customers about is the integration of things like call centers and compliance recorders. And so a couple of new folks to the table. What's the count up to? 24 different contact centers, 13 compliance recorders. It's kind of funny. You don't know about a contact center, obviously everybody knows about, but the compliance recording thing, didn't know about it till we had that first customer say, well, how do we do the recordings that we need to do for regulatory compliance? And it's like, interesting. Well, I guess we could hit record on every single call you do, but that's a little onerous and you can't really mandate it. And so there are compliance recorders that just build right into Teams and grab those audio streams and turn them into recordings so you can meet any regulatory requirements. So BrightPattern and CentralPal have been added as contact centers. There's a long list. We've worked with a number of contact centers and a number of partners that deliver contact centers. And so if that is part of your solution when it comes to Teams calling, there's great capability within Teams. And so now the fun stuff for me, really focusing on meetings and webinars and town halls. It's interesting. We get a lot of questions as Apex. First, it starts with the technology and the solution and the integration and the adoption. But we actually spend a lot of time with customers about sort of, use case 200 level, 300 level, 400 level kinds of questions, doing effective town halls, some of the production capabilities. It's kind of an interesting and burgeoning space. I guess if I've got any entrepreneurs listening, I think there's room for, there's lots of production companies out there. There's lots of, video and audio production companies. But Teams brings all these tools to the table that start to get really close to the tools and the capabilities that are in that specific industry, right? So if you're doing a town hall for 5,000 people and you're used to an AV crew, well, what does that look like in Teams? What is the people pieces? What are the platform pieces? And so we spend a lot of time talking to customers about taking, a Teams room space that's perhaps maybe a common space like a town hall area or gathering area, and actually talking to them a lot about production. So production, not like production versus pilot, but the production you do to make for a great event. Mesh is available in Microsoft Teams. I don't know if you probably can't see it behind me. I've got my VR goggles charging. I didn't think this would be as interesting as a space as it's turning out to be. We'll talk more about the Apple Vision Pro here in a few slides, but we're right at the beginning of this. And while at times it may seem a little silly or very much oriented towards gaming or towards just simply being, I love watching Netflix on the goggles, right? It feels like you're in a theater. And so that's coming for our meeting and work experiences as well. It's early, but know that Mesh is available within Teams now for you to start to experiment with. And so if you've got Copilot or you're taking a look at Copilot, one of the great uses of Copilot is that intelligent meeting recap. Whether it's Teams Premium or whether it's via Copilot, you get access to these great recaps. I have the pleasure of having access to both of those tools. And so I've been using this a lot, with other partners and vendors that we meet with. My team, when they meet with customers, they will take and cut and paste this out of a meeting recording and be able to share, follow-up items and recaps and things like that. Sometimes with a bit of cleanup, right? It's getting better and better every day, but you always want to check Copilot's work before you send it out. You don't want to be Google with their Gemini debacle. But it's a massive time saver and productivity gain, I know, in my world, right? I spend a lot of time leveraging these recaps as a way to make sure everybody's on the same page post-meeting. And so it's available with the Copilot for M365 seat. If you're interested in those, you're interested in purchasing a few licenses to get started or outfitting entire teams, my team stands ready to help you with that. Decorate your background. I'm starting to think that I'm one of the few people that uses my real background. This is my real environment. But if you're another person who does that, you have the ability to actually add some bling to your background, right? Cleaning it up, adding a party or some fanciness fanciness to it, just via a button click, right? I think the cleanup one is interesting, how it actually kind of cleared the clutter on her backdrop. Lots of folks have different strategies in this space, whether it's corporate backgrounds or seeing where folks really are at and adding that piece of authenticity, or using it as kind of an expressive tool. Just know that this decorate your background feature is available in Teams Premium. I left this one in because I learned two new acronyms, right? I didn't know PSL and CSL, right? Long career, spent time at Microsoft, and so there's fewer and fewer acronyms that surprise me, but these were new. So with collaborative notes, you generate people-specific links. Gives you more controlled access, the ability to understand, who's contributing what, and be able to control it. Versus, everybody gets the same link, everybody gets the same access, right? I sort of think about this in the same vein as, shared accounts versus everybody having discrete accounts. Still fighting that every day in our world. Just when you stomp out a few shared credentials, a new one will pop up. And so in the collaborative notes space, you have the ability to make sure that you're adhering to best practices and everybody gets a people specific link. So 9 people in video streams inside Chrome and Edge. I know that a lot of folks use the web client and use it either as their primary client, or I know for me, being in multiple tenants, at times it's really, really useful to have my desktop client, my thick client pointed at one tenant and have a web browser pointed at another one. The native client has gotten a lot better with notifications from other tenants and an ability to peek into those other tenants to kind of see if you need to hop over there and take care of some things. I still long for the day where there's a unified activity feed, a unified chat feed across people's tenants. I guess I'm smart enough to realize what a technical hurdle that is when you think about permissions and you think about ensuring there's no data leakage and things like that. I know it's a hard problem to solve, but we're not there yet. And so the advancements that keep coming in the web client are certainly much appreciated. And I know for me, when I'm on the road or I'm not here in my home office, having that robust web client, and now even more robust when it comes to video and meetings, is super, super useful. This one is great. It's simplified at the same time. A lot of us over the last 4 years, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is at this point, we kind of learned some pathways. Oh, I go here to find, changing my microphone or changing my camera from the onboard to the external. This is much better. It's much simpler. It's much easier to find, unless you've spent the last few years knowing exactly where it is buried under 4 menus, right? So this is a great improvement. It's great for, the bulk of users. Power users have a little bit of retraining to do to be able to find, hey, am I on the right mic, or I want to turn spatial audio on or off, or get into camera controls and things like that. So great that it's simplified, great that it pops out and it's just right there, top of mind. But it is a bit of a change from where it's been historically. I told you I was going to mention the Apple Vision Pro. This world is it's early, but Teams has come to the Apple Vision Pro. It was actually available at launch. And so in addition to Teams, Copilot, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, and Loop available on the App Store for the Apple Vision Pro. Haven't personally tried this yet. I'm super surprised that my boss hasn't already hopped on the train. He's a notorious early adopter of technology and keeps us on the front of the curve when it comes to innovation. I'll let people know as soon as I have an opportunity to try it. But I know from just version 2 of the Meta goggles that it's it's more than you think it's going to be, and having the ability to feel more immersed and more connected to people in something like a meeting, right? I'm especially sensitive to this simply because I'm the one member of our executive team that doesn't live in Michigan, right? Or I take that back, that doesn't live in Northern Ohio or Michigan. And sometimes I sort of want to make sure that I feel connected to everyone. It improves our working relationship. It improves my ability to manage and lead as well. And so it's part of the reason that I invested in some lights and a good camera, and I keep my background clean and so forth, simply because I know how important the video component is. And so it's on Apple Vision Pro. I'm not sure if you go to an Apple store, you really can get a sense of how this would feel in sort of your business life. I'm sure it's very much consumer focused, and the experiences that they have focused that way. But if you have the opportunity, give Teams a try on the new Apple Vision Pro. We actually, I have this old saying that, Microsoft offers you 47 different ways to do something, and it's always a challenge figuring out how to do it. My team actually just got done setting up some robust bookings infrastructure for appointments, email and calendar based, but Teams has virtual appointments as well. And so I've tasked my team, after preparing the slide deck, hey, maybe it's time to take another look at how we think about virtual appointments and self-scheduling or on-demand services like that. When I did a co-pilot briefing, or we just had a really large event, a successful event in Michigan, and we wanted to have the opportunity for people to sort of self-schedule with the sales team, with the engineering team for follow-up. And so used bookings, but I think it's time to re-examine virtual appointments within Teams, right? And so assigning staff, setting duration, SMS notifications, starts to feel like a very polished and sort of customer facing or partner facing, depending on kind of your business. Are you B2B or B2C? That it's robust enough to sort of play in this space, right? Multiple ways to skin a cat with Microsoft. So take a look at virtual appointments with these new features that have come to Teams. So a couple of things about some Teams rooms and devices updates. You saw in the first slide, there's always new equipment coming out, and don't necessarily, I didn't include, specific new equipment, partially because we have, our recommended equipment. If we tried to just stay newest, that would be a mess. We've had great success really focusing our relationship on partners like Logi and Jabra, and because of that, we can really go deep and really get the right equipment into people's hands. But there is new equipment that's always coming out. So BYOD is a huge initiative for Microsoft. This has kind of played out a few times over history, where sort of Microsoft jumps to like a fully finished solution, and sort of ignores that for some customers, there's like intermediary steps. Let's go from a dangling HDMI cable to something like a Logitech switch to more of a BYOD experience. Then we get to a full rooms experience. Then we can like talk about a signature room, right? Sometimes, we sort of jump to the end and are like, hey, this would be a great signature room, when they're not even at step one yet. And so Microsoft sort of embracing that over the last few months with a lot of innovation at the equipment level, at the tools and platform level around BYOD. And so Teams Room Pro management now attacking those BYOD devices, being able to see their usage, be able to manage them. One of the key, I just passed my 2024 badge for Teams Rooms, and one of the things that they specifically called out in that exam to make sure we knew is that you start with BYOD, but then because you can do the reporting off of it, you can say, man, this room gets used a lot, or the utilization is super high. Maybe it's time to move it up to being a full rooms device versus everybody has to bring a laptop and somebody has to plug in and sort of run the meeting. And so that reconnaissance is super important as you think about introducing BYOD, but then potentially upgrading it to the full rooms experience. I like this one, configuring maintenance windows, especially in the room space and the device space. Oftentimes, for most of us, there's a definite period of time where that room isn't being used, right? Saturday night or Sunday morning from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And so you can drop these devices into maintenance windows, automatic updates, any tasks that you need to accomplish on those devices to make sure that they're current and they're healthy only happen in those maintenance windows. You can keep the real-time, robust telemetry data for a longer period of time with Teams Premium, right? So you can have the ability to really get the in-depth data more than just as it's happening or as it's problematic. You can peek back over a week and see how things are going. So this one is super cool. Watermark support and watermark support for recording playback. And so if any of you have tested this out, this is a great way to make sure that any data leakage either doesn't happen or is discouraged. But then you also have the ability to know, well, who leaked it, right? Because the email address is going to be the watermark across that screen. It's a little bit like movies, screener copies or the copies on airplanes. You'll notice every 20 minutes it puts a delta at the bottom. That way, if that makes it to the black market, they know, hey, this came from Delta, this came from American. Same principle here. The advancement is it's supported in the recordings, right? So even if someone's not taking screenshots live, but tries to take screenshots via the recording, the watermark lives on. And so this is really, really nice. I've seen Microsoft start to implement it with a lot of their meetings with us partners when it comes to sharing NDA information. If I were fool enough to take a picture and share it, it would come back to me. What I like about this is that it actually makes an organization like a Microsoft more comfortable sharing information that's critical for me as a partner to know, because they have that sense of comfort when it comes to the watermark. Same thing here with meeting chat. So really extending, I still think of it as DRM, IRM, right? That whole world of rights management and information protection. And so expanding it to meeting chats so you can turn off copying or forwarding any of that data beyond its initial usage. And then I just wanted to show you guys this. This is really a reason to reach out to me and get the slides shared, because there's just way too much here. I'm not really going to clear these slides. I'm going to give you an example of the kinds of things we bring to the table with our customers, especially our managed services customers, when we review things like this monthly or quarterly, because, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to keep up with when it comes to feature releases, things on the roadmap, all of these hyperlink to the actual, service description and things like that. There's a lot to consume here. The nice thing for our customers is, we get to know the list, we get to understand it. We also understand the customer environments and make sure that we're highlighting the ones that we know to be critical in their environment, versus every single one of us consuming the whole list and trying to understand it. And so I just left this in here as a great example of all the hard work that Microsoft's doing to continue to innovate on top of Teams, but also making it a bit of a plug for our ability to deliver value, especially to our customers, right? Our managed services customers, walking through a list like this and saying, hey, I know you are really vested in this. Look at these new features and new capabilities in a space that's going to make a big difference for you, right? let us bring that expertise to the table. And speaking of expertise, we're really passionate about what we do. Please, give us an opportunity to help you on this journey. Tremendous customer satisfaction, hundreds of customers, hundreds of projects completed. We're almost at 25 years, starting to plan the big bash with my marketing team right now. So long track record in this space. And so I hope this was helpful. A lot of new features. There's hidden slides. There's those roadmap slides with all the active links. Please reach out to me, sthompson@apexdigital.com, if I can provide the slides or have a conversation with you. If you are a customer, reach out to your account executive. If you'd like to be a customer, reach out to sales@apexdigital.com. We have lots of resources, including a new case study available on our website, having to do with a lot of our rooms work for a great customer located in Novi in Michigan. And so check that out. It's brand new and really articulates the value of rooms from small huddle rooms up to signature rooms. So that's it. Thanks for joining me on Fridays with Steve, and we'll see you again next time.